My mother matched my wife with my brother, she said he was better for her. I found out everyone knew except me. True story of betrayal, lies and revenge. The joke that wasn't a joke. I'm Ryan, 35. My wife is Lauren, 32. My brother is Evan, 33, the family favorite since he could spell ROI. Here's the plot twist up front so you don't miss it. My own mother, Margaret, once matched Lauren with Evan before I ever proposed, said they were a natural fit. Everyone laughed. Apparently everyone also knew she meant it. I married Lauren anyway. We had the apartment with the brick wall and the plant I always forgot to water. I'm quiet, organized, and predictable in a way that makes cashiers trust me with the register. She's Quicksilver, PR brain, perfect hair, a laugh that makes rooms turn their heads. For a while it worked. Date nights, shared playlists, Sunday eggs. I felt like steady was finally a compliment. First hairline cracks were small enough to step over. Lauren started comparing me to Evan like it was a sport. He's fearless, he gets people. You should ask him about your portfolio. I shrugged it off. Every family has a golden child. Then Mom began inviting Lauren to help Evan with his startup deck. Just them. At his co-working loft. On weekends. You know Evan, Mom would say, almost fond, needs a woman with polish. When I reminded her I was the one married to the polish, she smiled tight and changed the subject to casseroles. Lauren's phone lived face down with a passcode, then do not disturb for client privacy. Late nights multiplied, brand launches, strategy dinners, crisis calls. She came home smelling like amber perfume and city rain, cheeks flushed, eyes bright in a way that didn't include me. If I asked how it went, she'd kiss my forehead and say, "You'd be bored, babe." My dad, Thomas, steady as an oak, watched quietly. He's not a speech guy, but one Sunday he handed me a spare house key and said, "For the night you don't want to drive." I laughed then. I don't laugh now. The joke finally cracked at my parents' barbecue. Mom teased Lauren about training Evan to present, and Lauren shot back, "Too fast, he's a good study." Evan looked at the ground like it had answers. My aunt clinked a fork against a glass and yelled, "To the dream team." Everyone cheered. My stomach dropped the way floors do in old elevators. That night, Lauren curled into me like always, warm and soft and familiar, humming while she scrolled. My brain wouldn't stop replaying Mom's voice, more suitable. I told myself I was tired. I told myself I trusted her. I told myself I was lucky. 2 days later, Dad texted, "Come by the shop. Don't tell your mother." He's a retired machinist who fixes everything he touches except people. On his workbench lay an envelope. He said, "I'm not supposed to have this." Inside was a photo from a family friend's wedding I skipped for a deadline. Evan and Lauren behind a column, fingers laced, her mouth near his ear, the kind of closeness that doesn't happen by accident. My throat went dry. Dad didn't say "I told you so." He just pushed a bottle of water across the bench and said, "When people show you where they stand, believe them." I drove home on autopilot, hand steady, heart not. Lauren texted, "Running late, helping Evan polish a pitch. Don't wait up." I stared at the message until it blurred and realized the joke had never been a joke. I didn't storm in. I didn't call her. I just waited. Lauren came home around midnight, humming again, carrying takeout for 2 even though I'd already eaten. She smelled like someone else's cologne. Faint, clean, ocean-scented, nothing I'd ever worn. "Rough day?" she asked, smiling. My voice caught in my throat. I said nothing. The next morning, I left early and drove straight to my parents' house. My mom was in the garden, pruning roses, humming the same tune Lauren always did. "Sweetheart," she said, "Lauren told me you've been moody. Be patient with her. Evan's project needs her support." I said, "You set her up with him, didn't you?" She blinked, feigned confusion, then sighed like a teacher with a slow student. "Ryan, you and Lauren are lovely, but you're different. Evan's energy matches hers. I only wanted you all to be happy." I just stared. My own mother thought my wife should have married my brother, and apparently she'd been helping make that happen. By the time I got home, Lauren was working on her laptop at the counter. She looked up and smiled. "You look pale. Everything okay?" I said, "Fine." She kissed me lightly. "Good. I need to run. Evan's waiting at the co-working space." That night, curiosity finally overpowered denial. I opened the cloud account we shared. Lauren had changed the password, but not her photo backup folder. I found dozens of pictures, cafe tables, rooftop bars, hotel lobbies. Some with Evan in them, some just selfies captioned "late nights." And one, taken at a seaside motel, with 2 wine glasses and Evan's jacket draped over a chair. When she got home I asked, "You were at the coast last weekend, weren't you?" She froze for half a second, then recovered. "Yeah, company retreat. I told you." "Who was there?" I asked. "My team." "Why?" She said, feigning innocence. "Because this jacket in the picture, that's Evan's." Her eyes flicked up, then away. "Oh, he came for the presentation. Mom suggested it." She smiled, but her tone sharpened. "Ryan, you're getting weirdly paranoid. Do you trust me or not?" "I used to," I said quietly. She rolled her eyes. "You're acting like a jealous teenager." "He's your brother?" I asked. "Do you love him?" That's when her composure cracked. Her eyes widened, and for just 1 second she looked afraid. Then she laughed, a short, brittle sound. "That's ridiculous." "Then say it," I said. "Say you don't love him." She hesitated. Then, "Ryan, you're tired. Let's not do this." She walked into the bedroom and closed the door. I stood there listening to the quiet hum of the dishwasher and realized that silence has a sound. At 2 a.m. I woke to the faint buzz of her phone. I turned my head and saw her texting under the covers, light flashing on her face. "Can't talk now," she typed. "He's asleep." The contact name? I got out of bed and went to the couch. I didn't sleep. I just stared at the ceiling, feeling like the air in our house had turned toxic. The next morning she acted like nothing had happened, making coffee, humming that same tune. "You should come to Mom's dinner Sunday," she said cheerfully. "Evan's bringing someone." I said, "Yeah, I'll be there." She smiled, kissed my cheek and said, "See? You're starting to sound like yourself again." But in my head, something had already shifted. That dinner would be the last time I pretended not to know. Sunday dinner at my parents' house used to mean comfort. Pot roast, bad jokes, and Dad sneaking me an extra beer when Mom wasn't looking. This time it felt like walking into a courtroom. Lauren looked perfect, flowy dress, hair curled just enough to look effortless. Evan was already there, leaning against the counter, glass of wine in hand, laughing with Mom like they were hosting an awards show. When he saw me, he smiled too easily. "Hey big bro," he said, clapping me on the shoulder. My mom beamed. "Isn't it wonderful how close they've gotten?" she said. "They just understand each other." Dad, sitting in the corner, didn't look up from his newspaper. Dinner started polite. Conversations about work, weather, vacations. I barely tasted the food. Lauren and Evan kept exchanging those tiny looks, split-second glances they probably thought were invisible. Every time my stomach tightened. Halfway through dessert, Mom said, "Evan, show everyone that presentation Lauren helped you with. You two are such a team." That was it. I set my fork down, carefully, like a detonator. "Actually," I said, "I'd love to talk about that team." Lauren froze, fork midair. Evan blinked. Mom frowned. "Ryan," she said sharply, "not now." "No, Mom," I said evenly. "Now is good." I pulled out my phone, opened the folder of photos and set it on the table. The one of the seaside motel glowed under the chandelier. "This," I said, "is from the company retreat." Lauren's face drained of color. Evan shifted in his seat. Mom's lips parted, a faint gasp. "Ryan," Lauren started, voice trembling. "It's not what you think." "What do I think exactly?" I asked. "That my wife and my brother just accidentally rented a hotel room together? For business." She stood up, palms out. "I was helping him, all right? He was stressed. He had a panic attack before his presentation." Dad finally looked up. "Is that true, Evan?" Evan stared at the table. "It's complicated," he muttered. Lauren turned to me, desperate now. "I made a mistake, okay? Just one night. I didn't mean to hurt you." "One night," I said quietly. "How long, really?" She opened her mouth, then closed it. Tears welled in her eyes, on cue. "I don't know. A few months. I was lonely. You're always so distant." "You mean loyal," I said. Evan stood, rubbing the back of his neck. "Ryan, man, listen." "Don't," I said. My voice surprised even me, flat, steady, final. "You had every chance to tell me. Both of you." Lauren's tears broke. She dropped to her knees right there on my parents' floor. "Please, Ryan. I'll fix it. I'll do anything." "It was just." "Just what?" I asked. "Curiosity? Convenience? My mother's approval?" Mom's voice snapped. "Enough. You're embarrassing us." I turned to her. "You started this," I said. "You matched them before I even proposed. You got what you wanted." Her face went cold. "Don't you dare blame me for your failed marriage." Lauren reached for my hand. "Ryan, please. I love you. I always have." "Then why him?" I asked. She cried harder. Because he made me feel seen. You make me feel safe, but he makes me feel alive. That was it. The phrase every betrayed husband eventually hears. Safe, not exciting. I stepped back. You know what's funny? I said softly. I thought loyalty was exciting. Dad stood up then, quiet, steady. Lauren, he said, please leave. Thomas, Mom started, but he cut her off. Now. Lauren looked at me like I'd just killed her, mascara streaking her cheeks. Evan stared at the floor. Mom glared daggers at me like I was the problem. I walked out without another word. I heard Lauren sobbing, my mother hissing something about family image, and my father's low voice saying, it was always going to end this way. Outside the air was cold. Cling. I didn't cry. I didn't shout. I just drove. And somewhere between their house and mine, I realized I'd lost not one person that night, but 3. I slept in my car that night. Not because I didn't have somewhere to go, but because nowhere felt like mine anymore. I parked by the lake, quiet, dark, steady, and just sat there watching the reflection of the streetlights on the water. The air smelled like pine and cold metal. I used to love that smell. Now it just made me think of home and how easily it could stop feeling like one. The next morning I went back to the apartment. Lauren's shoes were still by the door, her perfume still in the air. On the counter sat 2 mugs, one with lipstick on the rim, one half full of cold coffee. For some reason that hit harder than the photo. Proof that life had gone on while I'd been blind. My phone was buzzing nonstop. Text from Lauren. Please talk to me. I made a mistake. Don't throw this away. And from Mom. You're overreacting. Couples survive worse. Don't let pride ruin everything. Evan's devastated. You should be the bigger man. The audacity of that last one almost made me laugh. Almost. Dad's message came later, simple and sharp. You don't have to forgive anyone to move forward. Just pack your piece and leave. I started putting her things into boxes. Every item felt like a question. Her favorite sweater, was she wearing it when she texted him? Her perfume, did he buy it for her? Our wedding photo, why did she smile like that? I filled 4 boxes before I stopped. The apartment echoed. Even Nala, our cat, sat by the door like she was waiting for someone who wasn't coming back. Lauren came home that evening. I didn't expect her to. She looked terrible, eyes swollen, hair a mess, wearing one of my hoodies. Ryan, she whispered, like the sound of my name might fix everything. Can we talk? No, I said flatly. Please, she begged. You can yell, curse, throw something, just don't ignore me. I didn't move. She stepped closer, tears dripping down her face. It wasn't supposed to happen. Your mom pushed us to work together. We got close and I thought maybe I'd married the wrong brother. There it was. The thing I already knew but hoped I'd misheard. Do you hear yourself? I said quietly. You're not even sorry you did it, you're sorry I found out. That's not true, she cried. I love you, Ryan. I swear I do. It was a stupid, messy, emotional affair, I finished for her. She shook her head like that word was poison. You don't understand. He needed me. Your mom needed me. I just needed him too? I asked. That stopped her. She looked down. Then, as if realizing the performance wasn't working, she dropped to her knees, right there on the floor, hands gripping mine. Please, I'll do anything. I'll cut contact, I'll go to therapy, I'll tell everyone the truth. Just don't leave me. I can't lose you. You already did, I said. She started sobbing, forehead pressed to my hands. I was lost, she whispered. He made me feel. Don't, I said sharply. Don't say it. You made a choice. And now I'm making mine. I pulled my hands free, grabbed the packed boxes and opened the door. Your mom's house is 2 miles away. Go there. Take the boxes. Take your lies. I'm done. She stared at me, trembling. You'll regret this, she said. You think you're better than me, but you're just safe. That's all you've ever been. Safe. I smiled then, not out of pride but out of exhaustion. Good, I said. At least I can live with that. She left in silence. The door clicked shut like punctuation. For the first time in months, the apartment was still. And in that stillness, I finally let myself break. The next morning, my phone rang before sunrise. It was my mom. No, hello, no, how are you? Just, you embarrassed this family. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the empty space where Lauren used to sleep. You mean I stopped pretending? I said. Ryan, she hissed, you don't understand how complicated love can be. Lauren's young, emotional. You've always been too rigid. You could have forgiven her quietly. Instead, you made it public. She cheated on me with your other son, I said. There's no quiet way to fix that. There was a pause, then a cold sigh. You've always been dramatic. Evan made a mistake, but he's still your brother. I hung up before she could finish. A few minutes later, my dad called. His voice was tired. I don't know what your mother told you, he said, but she's been pushing those two together for years. She always said Lauren was wasted on you. I told her to stop. So she knew. I asked. Ryan, he said softly, your mother doesn't see people, she sees matches she can fix. It's her sickness, not yours. That day I packed my things and drove out to stay with my friend Jason. He offered his guest room and 2 beers before I even set my bag down. Man, he said, you look like someone backed over your soul with a truck. Feels about right, I said. He nodded. You want advice? Don't try to fix this. Don't text her. Don't stalk her socials. Let her drown in her own narrative. I tried. But the silence was loud. Lauren texted daily, I miss you. Please talk to me. I can't sleep. Then when I didn't respond, it turned angry. You're really just walking away. After everything? Meanwhile, Evan reached out too. One text. I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I didn't reply. There wasn't a message in the world that could make that sentence make sense. 3 days later, my mom called again, crying this time. You can't cut us all out, she said. Family is family. Don't make your father choose sides. He already did, I said. And so did you. Lauren's mom, Deborah, was next. Her voice was sticky sweet, like she was trying to sell me something. Ethan, oh sorry Ryan, she said, getting my name wrong as always. Lauren's distraught. She says you threw her out with nowhere to go. Surely you can find it in your heart to forgive one mistake. One mistake? I asked. She slept with my brother for months. Well, Deborah said, Evan's always been very charming. I actually laughed. You sound proud. Don't be cruel, she snapped. You know how your mother always thought Lauren and Evan would have made a better pair. I do now, I said. When I hung up, I just sat there in Jason's spare room, staring at the wall. I wasn't just betrayed by my wife, I'd been betrayed by my family's design. Everyone had known. Everyone had quietly approved. That night, Dad texted again. Your mom's angry, but she'll come around. Just, don't come to Sunday dinner for a while. For the first time, that didn't hurt. It sounded like peace. I went for a walk in the cold, just to hear the crunch of gravel under my boots. Somewhere between the streetlights and the sound of my breath, I realized I didn't miss Lauren. I missed who I thought she was. And that's when I started thinking less about revenge and more about freedom. Revenge wasn't a switch that flipped. It crept in like a slow tide, quiet, deliberate, patient. At first, I told myself I didn't want it. I wanted peace, closure, maybe an apology that didn't sound rehearsed. But after the 10th text from Lauren that started with, I made a mistake, and ended with, you're ruining my life, something inside me hardened. She wasn't sorry. She was losing control. That's when I remembered something from my dad. If someone shows you their character, you don't correct them, you document it. So that's what I did. I went through our shared accounts, bills, emails, everything. Lauren had been careless. I found the receipts for dinners, the hotel bookings, the flights to Denver that work never reimbursed. She'd even charged one of her getaways to my credit card. I didn't yell. I didn't text. I just made copies. Then I called my friend Dylan, who worked in HR at Lauren's firm. I didn't ask him to do anything unethical. I just asked him a question. Hey, does the company policy still forbid romantic relationships with clients? He paused. Yeah. Why? No reason, I said, and emailed him the hotel receipt titled Business Dinner, Evan and Lauren. He didn't respond. But 3 days later, Lauren texted. Did you tell my job about me? They put me on leave. Are you happy now? I wasn't. But I was calm. Mom called soon after, voice sharp as glass. What did you do? Lauren's career is collapsing. You've humiliated us. I didn't do anything, I said evenly. She did. You're vindictive, she snapped. I learned from the best, I said and hung up. The silence after that was its own kind of medicine. Meanwhile, Evan's life started unraveling too. Word got around that he'd been seeing his brother's wife. He lost a promotion at work, ethics concerns, apparently, and his long-term girlfriend dumped him. The poetic kind of justice. Lauren tried one last act of control, posting a long social media note about losing herself in grief and how she betrayed the man who only ever loved her. Comments were full of sympathy from people who didn't know the truth. So I told it. One post. Just a photo of my hand removing my wedding ring, captioned. Some marriages end in heartbreak. Mine ended in a family reunion gone wrong. It blew up. Quietly. Subtly. Enough people connected the dots. The next day Lauren texted again. You're cruel. You ruined my name. You were supposed to protect me. I replied with the last message I ever sent her. I did. Until you became the threat. After that, I blocked her number, deleted our chat history, and poured a drink I actually enjoyed for once. Whiskey over ice, no noise, no pretending. But the best revenge wasn't the job loss or the gossip. It was waking up one morning and realizing she no longer lived rent-free in my head. That night, I went online and signed up for something I hadn't done in years, painting classes. I figured if she could spend months pretending to love my brother, I could at least learn to love something real again. And for the first time in months, I slept without checking my phone. It had been about 3 months since I'd last seen or heard from Lauren. Life had started to quiet down. I'd gotten into a rhythm: work, gym, painting class on Thursdays, the occasional beer with Jason or Dad. The air in my chest finally felt light. Then one rainy Tuesday evening I opened my door, and there she was. Lauren. Hair damp from the drizzle, mascara smudged, holding a half-empty wine bottle and a look that could melt steel if I hadn't built armor over my heart. Ryan, she said softly, like she was speaking to a memory. Can we talk? I didn't answer. I just leaned against the doorframe. She gave me a small, shaky smile. I lost everything, she said. My job, my friends, even my apartment. Mom won't talk to me, she says I embarrassed her. That's rough, I said flatly. Her lip trembled. Please don't be like this. I've been in therapy. I know what I did. I know how bad it was. Do you? I asked. Because last time I checked, you were still blaming everyone but yourself. She took a step closer. I didn't move. I miss you, she whispered. You were my calm, my home. I didn't realize how much I needed that until it was gone. You didn't lose calm, I said quietly. You traded it for chaos and called it love. She flinched, eyes filling. I was lost, Ryan. Your mom, Evan, they got in my head. They made it feel inevitable. I almost laughed. You're still doing it, I said. Still pretending you tripped into an affair instead of walking into one. She dropped to her knees then, right there on the porch, rain soaking through her clothes, hands clasped like a prayer. Please, she cried, I have nowhere to go. Let me come in. I don't even need you to forgive me, just don't hate me. I stared down at her, the woman who'd once shared my bed, now shivering on my doorstep, still half acting, half apologizing. I don't hate you, I said finally. But that doesn't mean you belong here. She looked up at me, blinking through tears. So that's it? After everything we were? Everything we were ended the moment you chose him, I said. The rest is just cleanup. She let out a quiet, broken sound. You're different, she whispered. Good, I said and shut the door. I stood there for a long time afterward, hand on the knob, listening to the rain and the faint sound of her footsteps fading away. My phone buzzed an hour later. A text from Dad. Your mom's upset. Evan's leaving town for a while. She says you turned him against the family. I texted back. I didn't turn anyone. They just fell where they were standing. The next morning I saw a new email in my inbox. Subject line: Art Class Showcase Invitation. Apparently, my instructor had submitted one of my pieces, a stormy gray seascape, to a local exhibit. The description she wrote made me pause. A study in healing, where the tide washes away what's left and still, something beautiful remains. I didn't tell anyone I cried reading that. That weekend I went to the exhibit. My painting hung beside brighter, louder pieces and still, people stopped in front of it. They stared the way I used to stare at Lauren, quietly like they saw something familiar in the mess. That was the night I realized. My story wasn't about what I lost anymore. It was about what I was finally becoming without her. The art show was supposed to be my clean break from the past, but life has a way of tugging old wounds open when you least expect it. 2 days after the exhibit I got a call from my dad. His tone was careful, like he was stepping on ice. Your mom wants us all to meet for dinner, he said. She thinks it's time to clear the air. I almost laughed. Dad, the air's been clear. It just stinks. He sighed. I'm not asking you to forgive anyone. Just show up. For me. Against my better judgment, I went. Mom had booked a private room at a restaurant, linen tablecloths, soft music, like she thought ambience could erase betrayal. Evan was there too, clean-shaven for once, looking older, thinner, guilty. Lauren wasn't. Small mercies. When I sat down, no one spoke for a full minute. The clink of ice in water glasses was the only sound. Mom finally broke the silence. Ryan, I didn't mean for any of this to happen. You have to believe me. I looked at her steady. You matched my wife with my brother. That's not something that just happens. Her face tightened. It wasn't like that. I just thought, you two were so different. She needed someone who wasn't me, I finished. Yeah. I got the message. Evan shifted, voice low. Mom, stop. She ignored him. I was trying to keep her in the family. I thought that if she left me for him, it would still count? I said. Her jaw trembled, and for once she didn't have an answer. Dad cleared his throat. Enough, Marla. Then he looked at me. You don't have to accept it, son. But you can't let it poison you. You're better than that. For the first time, I saw my father not as the quiet bystander, but as the man who'd lived beside my mother's manipulations for 40 years. He wasn't weak. He was just tired. Evan finally spoke. I'm sorry, he said, voice shaking. You didn't deserve any of it. Not the lies, not her, not Mom's meddling. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted to say it out loud. I stared at him. For a moment, I almost saw the brother I grew up with, the one who taught me to ride a bike, who'd taken the blame when I broke Dad's truck mirror. Then I remembered the hotel receipts, the texts, the look in Lauren's eyes when she got caught. I accept your apology, I said quietly. But that doesn't mean I want you in my life. Evan nodded, eyes down. That's fair. Mom started crying then, big dramatic sobs like she was the one who'd been betrayed. Dad just handed her a napkin and said, You did this, Marla. Don't perform it. I left before dessert came. Outside, the night air was cold and clean. I called my sister Emily, who'd wisely skipped the dinner. When I told her what happened, she said, You know what Mom's problem is? She's addicted to control. And you're the only one who broke free. For the first time, that sounded like a compliment. When I got home, I poured a drink and looked at the photo on my wall, the seascape from the exhibit. The water looked different now. Less storm. More reflection. That's when I knew this wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about reclaiming peace from people who never wanted me to have it. Peace has a strange way of testing you. The moment you start to feel it, the past knocks again, usually wearing familiar perfume. It was a quiet Saturday morning. I just finished sanding the frame for a new painting when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Normally I'd ignore it, but something in me, call it curiosity or that leftover instinct to check for damage, made me answer. Ryan. Lauren. Her voice was smaller, unrecognizable, like a recording slowed down. What do you need? I asked, keeping my tone even. There was a pause. I could hear traffic, maybe an airport in the background. I'm leaving Oregon, she said. New start. Different state, different job. I just didn't want to go without saying something. Congratulations, I said. You always did like clean slates. She let out a shaky breath. Don't do that. Please. I know you hate me, but I don't hate you, I interrupted. I just finally stopped feeling anything. That made her quiet for a moment. Then softly, I loved you once, Ryan. No, I said. You loved the version of me that didn't make you face yourself. Her voice cracked. I was broken. You were selfish, I said calmly. We all get to choose how we bleed on people. You chose me. Silence again. Then quietly, I'm pregnant. That hit me like a truck I never saw coming. My brain fired off 1,000 questions before my mouth could form one. Whose? I finally asked. Evan's, she said. No hesitation. We tried to make it work. It didn't. He doesn't want the baby. I don't know what I'm going to do. I sat there, staring at the wall, every nerve in my body refusing to pick a feeling. Why are you telling me this? Because you're the only one who ever really cared, she said. And I ruined that. There was the line that used to melt me. The one that once made me believe I could fix her. Not this time. I hope the baby gets a better version of you, I said, then hung up. 5 minutes later, my mom called. Did you hear? She asked, voice trembling. Lauren's pregnant with your brother's child. Yeah, I said. She told me. Ryan, we're family, she said. You can't just cut them out forever. There'll be a baby, your nephew, maybe your godson. Mom, I said quietly. That's their storm. I finally found my calm. And I hung up again. That night, I didn't drink or rage or scroll through old photos. I went for a drive instead, up the coast, past the cliffs where the ocean throws itself against the rocks like it's daring the world to break it. The sky was pink and gold when I parked. I watched the tide pull back and realized, it always does. It crashes, it wrecks, it destroys, but it always comes back calm. I whispered into the wind, "You can have them, Mom. Both of them. I'm done being the glue for broken people." When I got home, I started a new painting, brighter colors this time. Sunrise over calm water. I called it The Leaving. And for the first time since the whole nightmare began, it didn't feel like I was painting loss. It felt like I was painting peace. A year passed after that call. 12 full months since the truth tore everything apart, and somehow it didn't feel like tragedy anymore. It felt like distance. Clean, earned distance. I sold my old house, the one filled with ghosts and good memories turned sour, and moved back to the coast. The same town where I'd grown up fishing with Dad, where the ocean sounded like home instead of heartbreak. I rented a small cottage by the water, wood floors, salt air, a porch that creaked when the wind blew. Perfect. Life didn't explode back into happiness, it grew quietly like something learning how to breathe again. I started working part-time with a local woodworker, fixing boats and teaching tourists how to sand without ruining their hands. On weekends I painted, not the stormy grays of the past year but light blues, golds and coral pinks. The kind of colors that looked like hope if you stared long enough. My mom still called sometimes. Her tone was softer now, less controlling, more tired. "Your brother moved," she said once. "Lauren had the baby. A little girl. They named her Grace. I didn't ask for photos. I didn't need to. Dad visited one weekend and helped me hang shelves in the cottage. Afterward, we sat on the porch watching the sun dip below the horizon. He took a long drink from his beer, then said, "You did good, son." "For what?" I asked. "For not letting their mess define you," he said. "Most men spend years trying to fix what other people broke. You just walked away and built something better." I didn't have words for that. I just nodded and stared at the horizon. Then came her, Lily. She worked at the little cafe near the marina, the one that smelled like cinnamon and sea spray. I first noticed her because she laughed like she'd forgotten life could be cruel. The second time she noticed me. "You always sit by the window," she said, smiling. "You look like someone waiting for a story to start." "Maybe I'm just enjoying the ending," I said. We started talking every morning. Coffee, jokes about seagulls, stories about growing up in small towns. I didn't tell her everything right away. Some stories need time to be told. But when I finally did, she didn't pity me. She just said, "You survived the kind of heartbreak that breaks most people. That's not damage. That's proof you're still alive." One evening months later, I brought her to the shore at low tide. The same spot where I'd once screamed my anger into the waves. Now it was calm, glowing orange in the sunset. "This is where everything ended," I told her. "And started again." She took my hand and said, "Then let's call it the middle." I smiled because she was right. Looking back, I realized the story was never really about revenge or even betrayal. It was about rebuilding when the foundation gives out. It was about learning that peace isn't something someone gives you. It's what's left when you stop giving your energy to people who don't deserve it. Lauren's choices destroyed the version of me that believed love was about endurance. But the man who stood by the ocean that night, calm, steady, free, knew love was about peace. So, to anyone reading this, if you've been betrayed, lied to, or broken in ways you don't think you can recover from, you can. It won't happen fast and it won't happen clean. But one day you'll wake up, look around, and realize the silence doesn't hurt anymore. It just sounds like home. And when that day comes, you'll know, you didn't lose your life. You just started living it.